Are all tied up after the first two games of their series. Jokic helped his team stage a huge comeback in Game 1, while SGA and the Thunder had their way in a Game 2 blowout. Now the two superstars will battle it out tonight for control of the series in a pivotal Game 3. Wendy, we begin with you. Jokic, SGA. Who needs Game 3 more?
I think it's Jokic, because I think the position that you want the Thunder in this series is to feel a little pinch, a little heat. Over the last couple of years, the Thunder have basically been untouchable, but the times where they've struggled is when they've been down. This happened last year against the Mavericks, and they felt a little bit of pressure in Game 1 here in this series against the Nuggets, and they didn't perform well. I think I've been on the Oklahoma City's winning the West train for 3-4 months, but I do think that's the position you want him in. You want him uncomfortable, and the game the other night, where they got blown out, I think they made a strategic decision. Jokic fouled himself out. He basically was like, I'm done in the third quarter of that game. 5 games in 9 days, including a Game 7. I think Denver was tired. They get to rest. They get to come home. This gives them an opportunity to put their best foot forward. If the Thunder win and get home court advantage back, I think that gets major momentum. Big game needed from Jokic tonight.
Wendy, I'm with you. I'm going to go with Jokic. First off, it feels like, well, it should be. They should be down 0-2. Like, OKC should be up 2-0. I mean, if Dagnall makes some of the right plays down the stretch in Game 1, it would have been a different scenario if they secured that game. But they just didn't get beat up in Game 2. They got smacked. That was a 43-point victory. I mean, damn. That's a lot of points. And by the way, Jokic was minus 36. That's his worst plus minus of his career.
Yep.
Of his career. So I understand fouling out. I understand the amount of games and the amount of days. But SGA has been living up to it. He balled out last game. He balled out Game 1 too. I think in order to secure home court advantage, I want to see Jokic, who needs Game 3 more for this series to continue, considering the way the first 2 games went.
I don't disagree with y'all, but for the sake of this discussion, let me go in a different direction, because everything y'all said is on point. And I would just be adding to that. No need. Let me go in a different direction. What if the Nuggets win Game 3? Then all of a sudden, everything that you just said about what Game 1 and 2 was supposed to be, meaning OKC needing to be up 2-0, instead of being up 2-0, you down 2-1, going into Game 4, the aura of invincibility that we've been talking about with OKC as it pertained to the Western Conference all of a sudden gets a bit diluted to some degree. We see the level of dominance. The Thunder have outscored the Nuggets 59-19 in points off turnovers in the first 2 games, 53-29 in fast break points over the first 2 games. But the series is still tied 1-1. And we saw Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein basically, no matter how big you are, no matter how good you are, Jokic showed you who the hell he was in Game 1. With 42 and 22, we get what he's bringing to the table. Right now, if you're the Nuggets, the big problem is that your best shooter is Russell Westbrook, who's shooting 50% from the field. And Nikola Jokic is at 47%. Everybody else, Jamal Murray's at 40%, Gordon's at 37%, Braun is at 36%. Michael Porter Jr. is shooting 17% in this series. It's unacceptable. So if you find yourself continue to look that way, but you up 2-1 on OKC, and they got to go into that Game 4, basically trying to avoid being in a 3-1 hole. That could make things very interesting, which is far more interesting than we anticipated. And that is why I would say, you know what? Jokic and those guys, they didn't expect, you could, if you go into a Game 4 down 2-1 and you could tie the series, okay, that's plausible. OKC potentially being down 3-1? Oh, no. Nobody anticipated that. Let's go with SGA and OKC in terms of who needs Game 3 more.
Yeah, I agree. And on top of that, the MVP race between these two is going to get real close to the situation we had 2 years ago when Embiid beats out Jokic and then Embiid flames out of the playoffs when Jokic goes on to win the title. Like, SGA needs to assert the dominance of the MVP in the series. Go into Denver, take out a team that's out of gas, having played 7 games, playing one guy off the bench essentially in Russell Westbrook, and then from there, show that you're the deeper team. Deep breath. abrupt transition. The Celtics shocked.
Threes for the Celtics in game 3, more or less.
I'm going to go more because they're going to put up a ton like they always do. Look, they're 25 for 100 in the first 2 games. They've missed 75 3-pointers, but they're not going to stop putting them up. If you want to give me over-under, I'll tell you they're going to shoot more than 40 in this game 3.
All right, Wendy, let's go to Jalen Brunson's total, 26.5 points. Would you go more or less?
He's been scoring less than that, and the Knicks have been winning. So I'm going to say less, but I still think he could have a very impactful game, as he did in game 1 and game 2. The length is bothering him a little bit during the course of the game, but at the end of the game, they can't stay in front of him. He shook the great Drew Holiday and got those 2 points at the end the other night. He can do it in the clutch, though, man.
And then let's go to Tatum. Alan, 28.5 is the points for Tatum. You go more or less?
I'm going to go more because he's faced accountability. He's talked about it yesterday after practice about how he's got to own how poorly he's been shooting. The Knicks have played him well, but a great player like that, you don't hold him down for long, and he knows all eyes are on him and all the pressure is on him to perform on the biggest stage in basketball.
Absolutely. All the pressure in the world, it would seem, is on the Celtics, down 2-0. In fact, yesterday here on Get Up, Big Perk had this to say about Boston right now.
The Celtics are done. They're not coming back in this series. I have all the trust and faith in the New York Knicks. They're going to win this series. The Celtics will be lucky to get 1 game.
I have to be honest with you. I almost fell out of my chair when he said that. I mean, in surprise. He just said he believes the Celtics are done. Do you?
No, I think they can win tomorrow. I just think they can, despite all the, just hubris about what we do. At some point, the Celtics are champions, and I expect them to actually play a game in its most elemental form. We're engaged with these people. We're not playing a philosophy. This is not an election. Play the damn game. I for some reason, even though twice they've been so stubborn and arrogant and defiant, they've refused to do it, and it costs them. You want to just wave goodbye to the defense of a championship? I don't believe the Celtics are that arrogant.
I mean, the Knicks didn't lead in game 2 until the 1:59 mark of the 4th quarter. We're talking about one bounce of the ball in either direction, and this series is 2-0 Boston. I can't believe anyone thinks the Celtics can't come back and win.
Of course. And that is what Joe Mazzulla is basically saying, is look at all the numbers. The numbers are demanding that we make a turnaround. I'm just going to say that the Knicks have yet to play well. I know that doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound. I am not trying to diminish what they have done. Jalen Brunson has had probably the 2 lowest production games of the playoffs the last 2 games. Not in the clutch, but that's how they fell behind by 20 points. Karl Towns has had good numbers. He hasn't had a hot 3-point shooting game. What the Celtics have done by botching these 2 games at home is they have opened the door for the Knicks to have a home win. What I mean by a home win is a win where Miles McBride hits 5 threes, where one of your role players, where Bridges goes off. You see these moments where these teams get hot at home. If that happens tomorrow at the Garden, it's going to be 3-0, and the Celtics are going to be done. But I don't think that they are overall. I think overall they still have a window because of their greatness as a team.
Yeah, the expectation is the Celtics eventually are going to play to the back of their baseball card, right? Like that's what you're looking for. It's what they've been all season. They're high volume 3. They're not a high percentage 3-point shooting team. They were 10th actually in the league, which is good but not great for a team that lives for the 3-point shot. But you just imagine, it sounds crazy. It almost as if some pressure comes off them getting out of Boston.
I totally agree.
I think there's something about putting them on the road, especially at the Garden. Everybody always raises their game. Everybody seems to want to play on that stage, and that might actually help them.
I am a huge believer in energy in the building.
Yeah.
And Michael Wilbon, you will remember this because you were covering all of this more closely than I was. Phil Jackson always used to say he greatly preferred playing on the road in the playoffs than at home.
The Oklahoma City Thunder dropped their series opener against the Denver Nuggets, but came back with a vengeance in Game 2 of their second-round series in the 2025 NBA playoffs. With the series tied 1-1, the action shifts to Denver for Game 3 on Friday night. OKC wasted very little time in Game 2. After the West's top seed scored a record-tying 87 points in the first half, it cruised to a 149-106 victory. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander led the way offensively with 34 points and 8 assists on 11-4-13 shooting. The Thunder wanted to leave no questions after the Nuggets erased a double-digit deficit in the fourth quarter and won Game 1 on Aaron Gordon's three-pointer with 2.8 seconds remaining. The Thunder are still favored in this series, and all 6 of our experts predicted OKC to advance to the Western Conference Finals.